customers. As you know, Winter Storm Fern created significant hardships for the Nashville community, and those without power are still our top priority. Our promise is to continue working around the clock until every customer is fully restored. Tremendous progress has been made in terms of restoring power and collaborating with city leaders and the state. We've paved a path forward and are on track with projections. Today, I'm going to share the latest progress. Then I will address restoration challenges and key things that customers need to know. And you'll hear from one of our operations managers, Brandon Whitlock, who has been on the front line with our line workers, pushing this restoration progress toward the finish line and doing a lot of the coordination. So valuable to getting the power back on. He's going to tell you what crews are now focused on and give customers a little bit of information about weatherheads. So we will take questions in the end, by the way. So let's start with the restoration progress. As far as power infrastructure damage, Winter Storm Fern will be one for the history books, the greatest damage to our system in the history of the organization. As of today, 96% of our customers have power. So we have restored 215,000 customers to date. To give you an idea of scope, at the peak of this event, 294 square miles were out of power. Today, crews have whittled that outage area down to 27 square miles. We are glad to report that all of the public schools have power, and much thanks to Adrienne Battle for coordinating with us. We spent a lot of time making sure that we were prioritizing things as she needed, and she was very helpful. Customers need good information, and as a reminder, we are updating our restoration completion dates by zip code twice a day. Now let's talk about the latest status of crews working to get everyone back on. Our linemen have been working in ice, frigid temperatures, and today in the rain to get everyone back on. We have close to 1,800 line workers deployed this week, and they continue working in 14 to 16-hour shifts. Thanks to all of our peers and our other power companies and contractors from Texas to Florida to Maryland and in between who have sent crews to assist us. A big part of this restoration has been replacing damaged poles. We have 776 broken poles that we've found so far during our restoration efforts. We have replaced 406 of those. It typically takes between 8 and 10 hours for one crew to replace a pole. You can gain some efficiencies if you have several in a row, but it does take an enormous amount of time to replace a pole. And we have lots of those, obviously. I think most of you are aware that down trees have certainly wreaked havoc on our system and have been a major challenge. So we have 350 vegetation management team members that are still focused on cleaning up debris all over our system. Thanks to Mayor O'Connell for assisting us with support and coordination through Metro, including assistance from Metro Water, the fire department, MMPD, and NDOT, who has been integral. They have really cleared the roads so our workers can get to where they need to be restoring power. At the state level, we've received an enormous amount of coordination, assistance, and support from TDOT, TEMA, the National Guard, the Department of Agriculture, and at a federal level, FEMA and TVA have been helpful. So appreciate all of these resources. TDOT similarly has helped clear roads so we can reach where we need to be working. Also, thanks to a volunteer group called Rubicon for clearing the way so that line workers can access areas to get power back on. So they've been busy with some pretty extensive effort and equipment. And then I want to thank our workforce who has worked tirelessly since the beginning of this storm to restore power to our customers. They're passionate about our customers, and you can see it in how hard they work. Obviously, a restoration undertaking of this size comes packed with challenges, and Brandon Whitlock, our operations manager, is going to talk about some of those today. Brandon?
Good afternoon. I'd like to start out by saying a huge thank you to my fellow NES employees. You guys answer a very big call. You continue to fight through it. You've worked tireless hours. I'm super proud to be part of this team. Thank you to our municipal aid partners from our neighboring utilities who've come in, stood in line with us and fought. It's been amazing. And thank you to all the contractors who've come from all across the country. Some of the challenges that we're facing currently, kind of a state of where we're at in the restoration process. As Teresa mentioned, we've continually onboarded additional line workers. We're currently somewhere around 1,800. One of the big asks for us as NES is how do we integrate 1,800 line workers in with our native 200 line workers? It's quite a stretch, as you've heard Brent talk about before. We've successfully done that. We've expanded our resources, integrated them in with us. And daily we work out a work plan for all of those resources so that we can execute that plan and restore power as quickly as we can. Currently, we've been working, of course, most important customers, critical care type resource outages, and then working down into largest outages first. As of this afternoon, our largest individual outage has less than 200 customers. So what that means is these crew sizes are starting to have to shrink down and split apart even smaller and smaller and smaller. So logistically, we've got a lot more moving pieces. We're developing those daily work plans, and we're hitting different areas all across town every day. Additionally, we have added to the attack of the largest customers we have now shifted some resources to attacking the smallest, the individual outage. So you're going to see a lot of the smaller buckets come into individual homes. We're going to be looking at the service wire specifically, the line that runs from our lines out on the street up to the home, up to the weatherhead. We got a sample of that, and I'll talk about that just in a minute. Right now, those trucks that are hitting those individual calls, they're looking at your meter base, your service, and then our transformer to confirm that it's all intact. So if your meter's not working, they're going to repair what's there. If there's damage to your equipment, I'll go over just 1 second how to cover that. If there's damage on our side, they're repairing that and making it ready. So when we bring the main line back, that customer is going to be hot. So if you see a lot of small trucks coming in, working in and around the homes, you might not get power at that moment, but we've made it ready so that when we bring the main line back, those individual customers will be ready. Just for a brief moment, I'll just touch on weatherhead. Are you okay with that? So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware. If you don't have power, a lot of you are in a neighborhood, you say, my whole neighborhood came back on, my house didn't. One thing you want to go out is look at your weatherhead. This is the point where you receive power from NES. Our service wire would come in, attach here, typically above the roof line or right near the roof line. From this point down, this is the customer's responsibility. So this would be the weatherhead, riser pipe, meter base. If this is damaged, if it's pulled away from your home, if it's pulled away and the lines are sagged down, you're going to need to call a licensed electrician, have them come out, stabilize this. It may be that it can be reattached to your home, and then you can call in and get a restore service. If they have to replace anything that's carrying current, if they have to replace the conductor, you'll have to go through and get an electrical release. That process is on our website. We can show you how to do that. We have a series of numbers you can call depending on which city or where in the city you're located. And then once you've gotten that electrical release, it'll notify us and we'll know you're ready to receive power. We'll come back out and we'll connect you. So just want to make sure that everybody if you do have damage, you can go ahead and be dealing with that if we haven't gotten to you yet. So does that cover it?
That's excellent, Brandon. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to be able to provide that information to our customers so they can be evaluating what they may need to do and if they have any damage. So in closing, those without power are our top priority. We are working around the clock to get customers restored. And we've made a lot of progress in recent days, but we still have about 15,000 customers out of power that we are working very hard to get back on. Our promise is to continue that for these customers, and we will keep you updated and continue collaborating with all of our restoration partners until we get this successfully completed.
Please raise your hand. We'll take questions. We'll go start here, then here.
So customers and now even the Speaker of the House in Tennessee are calling for the resignation of NES management. Do you believe you and other NES executives should resign from your positions after this incident?
Accountability is important. And I Right now, we are in active recovery, but we have plenty of time to do after action review and evaluate things that we could have done better.
Speaking of things you could have done better, I've been looking at an audit, and I want to just give you a chance to talk about that. The audit talks about, did NES do enough when it comes to vegetation management, tree trimming prior to this storm? And it said unforeseen challenges prevented trimming sufficient miles in 2025. There was also a budget cut, $7 million. So did NES do enough things like tree trimming prior to this storm?
Tree trimming has always been an integral part of our power maintenance program. So we've had a pretty aggressive tree trimming program for years. We actually have not cut the budget. The budget has increased every year over the last 4 years. We're spending, I think, $21.6 million this year on tree trimming.
It was 13 million. You're saying you did not cut the budget?
We did not cut the budget for tree trimming. It has increased every year for the last 4 years.
And you think you did enough?
I know we have an active tree trimming program, and I personally have not evaluated the miles we've trimmed, but we have certainly been aggressively trimming trees.
Also from Russell, Tennessee. Per one of my colleagues, according to your annual reports, though, you spent 33% less dollars on contract tree and grass from 2023 to 2025, from 21.28 million down to 14.298 million respectively. So, clarify, I don't really understand how, kind of stemming from that line of questioning, how that represents an increase, right? Unless, can you clarify, is that a different number than what you're talking about?
It is a different number that I'm talking about. The budgeted number was really the question, and we have not cut the budget in tree trimming. It has increased over every year over the last 4 years. Now, I am aware there was a change in vendor a few years ago that I believe probably resulted in more favorable pricing than was previously in place, but the budget itself has not been touched. It's increased.
If you're under budget,
Hang on,
why
hang on.
not spend additional money
Hang
to
on.
get more trees trimmed?
There may be a plan to trim more trees. I mean, I don't know that we weren't trimming additional trees in that case.
Last year, you were 4 million, $18 million budget, you only spent 14 million on tree trimming. What could that 4 million have done? How many trees could you have trimmed with that didn't get trimmed?
Well, as I've stated, tree trimming is a critical part of what we do, and we do have a very robust vegetation management program.
We have some other
What's your
folks.
updated timeline on getting all of power restored for the customers?
We have, to provide information to our customers, we have the restoration estimates on the website. I believe the current date for that full completion is the 9th. We are working aggressively to try to beat that. We have even more crews joining tomorrow. As I stated earlier, we have 1,800 line workers on our system right now, the most that's ever been on the NES system, and we are adding more over 100
I
tomorrow.
have a clarifying question. Are you saying that there's improvement now because you are hiring more linemen from the last press conference?
There are a variety of reasons why we could be seeing some improvement.
Right, is one of those reasons that you have more linemen now from the last press conference?
Certainly adding line workers can help with your
Have you done
timeline.
so?
We have added line workers throughout our restoration process as we've been able to safely integrate them into our system.
Right, so my question really then is, if you are now able to add more linemen, how are you able to do so? In the last press conference, it was stated that you were not able to do so because it would be dangerous and they have to be able to work and understand all of the equipment, all of the different grids and all of those things. What has changed that now you are able to hire more linemen, and why wasn't that the case earlier? That's my specific question.
I think what was stated at the last press conference was we were scaling our workforce. So we were gradually adding line workers as we were able to safely absorb them. So we are simply adding them as part of a plan where we're scaling up.
And are you continuing to scale up then to make the process even faster? What are we looking at? What can we tell the customers that are cold? What can we tell the ones that have children that they don't have a place to shower before school? I'm just wanting to make sure that we're giving this information accurately of how quickly we're getting more linemen and when they're gonna be able to live comfortably again, because it's been a very long process. I come from a cold state originally, and I just have to be honest, people are dying and people are really hurt at this time. So what can we tell them when it comes to the response of the linemen?
We have an incredible amount of concern for our customers who are out of power and want them restored as quickly as possible. So in recent days, we added 500 linemen yesterday. We have additional linemen we're adding tomorrow. So we are, as we can safely absorb them, we are flooding our system with them. And I think what we talked about the other day was that we have to have someone that is trained on hazardous energy control on our system that can lead the line workers around. We can't just dump them in our system and let them go. System control can't see them. They need clearances from system control. So someone has to be trained on that to lead them. So we had brought additional people in and done an expedited training on hazardous energy control so we could deploy more linemen.
Here, here.
Some residents are saying they're having an easier time putting out signs and getting faster responses than using online responses. Why is that? What is the workflow like for your online inquiries? Is that true?
For online, we are aware of all of our customers who are without power. And Brandon mentioned something a moment ago that I think is important. You have a lot of customers now that may be the only one in their neighborhood that's out, where they've had their weatherhead damaged and they've had to have an electrician come out. So they're somewhat isolated. We had been getting the large outages restored until we were able to get all of our high voltage lines restored. We were focused on those. We now are kind of splitting the workforce and retooling to have smaller crews to go address those one-off customers and that are kind of by themselves in their neighborhood waiting on power. And they have not been forgotten. We are deploying 2-man crews to go tackle those.
Is putting out signs something you encourage to get a response if the crew is out in the neighborhood? Do you feel like that is an easier way for people to get you guys to come in?
Not necessarily. Our crews are deployed to where they are most needed. And when they're working in an area, they have a schedule of places they're going to be. I heard about the signs yesterday, and I suspect it's that some of them have some sympathy for people and are stopping to help. So I don't encourage it, but it can't hurt.
I assume that you've seen the risk management report from November that Ben was referencing earlier. Your internal report.
Oh, the ERM report,
Yes,
yes.
exactly. Well, in there, it was highlighted red, like the vegetation removal and that sort of thing, but you said that you haven't pulled any money from that. What exactly were they trying to warn you about in that report?
Well, that report is intended to look at all risks of the organization and the impact of those risks. Tree vegetation is a risk for all utilities that have, for all utilities that have trees on their system.
But in the report, it said unforeseen challenges prevented trimming sufficient miles in 2025.
Can you explain what those challenges are?
On our tree trimming program, I know that we are on track for this year with our tree trimming.
This is fiscal year last year. You weren't on track last year. You know why you were not on track?
I don't recall that statement, but we are on track with our tree trimming this year.
I wanted to go back to the lineman conversation. We understand you can't just take anyone off the street who says, I'm a lineman. You have to go through a vetting process. How many were rejected in that vetting process? And then also I wanted to ask about the mutual aid. I don't know if they're contracts or agreements that you have. Did you only accept help from linemen that had those mutual aid agreements with you? And is there any type of financial or contractual reason why you would take those linemen first over others who were here and ready and available? Did you push them aside to take the ones that you had agreements?
The mutual aid process is really important because it's utilities helping other utilities. And there's already a standard contract in place for those. So we can quickly onboard those utilities, those line workers. We know that they have had all of the training and vetting that we need, so we can quickly onboard them. And so we start with them and the contractors that we already have on contract, because you can quickly deploy them.
Did you accept any from outside of those mutual aid programs?
We did. We have accepted line workers from all over the country.
Here and that, these last two.
Thank you first off for taking our questions. You mentioned in the last press conference that you all were prepared for a snowstorm, not really an ice storm. Can you clarify that? Because NWS, I believe every meteorologist from each station that's in here has said that there's a potential of ice, dangerous ice. So is there a reason why you guys weren't truly prepared for the ice in last?
Adequate planning for any kind of storm is really important. With regard to this one, we certainly were planning for the predicted weather. As it migrated to being predicted as an ice storm, we were arranging for crews. And we were arranging for an adequate number of crews. We just did not necessarily have them on site.
Why not? Why weren't they on site?
When you have a storm of that magnitude and the forecast is moving quickly and no one really knows where the ice is going to go. A few days prior, it was supposed to go to Memphis. So when it pivoted to Nashville, we called Memphis and said, can we have all of your contract crews if it doesn't hit you? So a lot of them were sitting in Memphis.
First question mentioned Speaker of the House calling for the resignation of people on the NES leadership. There's also been criticism from the mayor, from the governor. Have you been surprised? How do you respond to some of the criticism you have seen? What are your thoughts about that and the calls for resignation?
As I mentioned earlier, accountability is important, and we are committed to working with all of our community and political leaders.
A couple of years ago, when there was ice storm in and people were without power for days, that this wouldn't happen again. Why did it happen again?
I'm not aware of what you're referencing.
My last
Sorry.
question is just
That's it.
how do people contact NES to just let them know if there are any more further problems? What's the best way for connecting any issues or any new issues with your company?
Are you referencing account issues, power outage issues?
Power outage issues, and maybe they took down a tree outside of their house to make it easier for NES to come that they were told they had to do before they were able to do more work. What's the best form of communication with NES right now?
They can call us. That's the best. If they've had in that situation, if they've had a tree removed, it's best to call us just to make sure that whatever note we had on the account, we're returning to that property to fix it for them.
Thank you.
Generally, what's your response to the state legislature wanting to have legislative oversight?
We are committed to working with all of our political leadership.
There's concern that NES lobbyists in the
Yeah.
past have prevented more oversight from being in place. Do you guys have lobbyists that are trying to prevent oversight from being passed at the state level?
I'm not aware of that.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.